Is it super zillennial to say, "What's up, YouTube?" I'm not going to say that. Anyways, this is my first YouTube video where we talk about the practical and the emotional aspects, both of grief and loss, whether it was 20 years ago or 2 weeks ago. We've all lost things and people. If you're alive and you're an adult, you've probably lost something or someone. If you want to like and subscribe, I'm probably going to have a structure to this because I thrive in structure. Yay. I really do not get things done unless there's a deadline. So I have the goal of posting on like Mondays and Thursdays, twice a week-ish. Maybe Mondays would be practical, Thursdays would be emotional. There's a lot of emotional things about grief and loss and just living with grief. There's also a lot of practical things if you are the one taking care of the person who is passing away or their stuff after they pass away. And whether you're 18 or you're 80, this could happen to you. Maybe it has happened to you. Maybe it's happening to somebody you know, and they're just trying to figure out how to deal with all this and how to take care of someone's estate. So that would be more of the practical side of the financials. And this is not legal advice. Disclaimer, not legal advice. It is my personal experience after having to do this for the past 9 months. Oh, yeah, 9 months today. 9 months today, my mom passed away. My goal here is really to support people of any age who are going through loss, who have gone through loss, and people who don't know where to start when it comes to what you do after someone dies. That would be, I guess, the practical portion of this. So do not take this as legal advice, please, for the love of everything. It's going to be jumbled and disorganized as much as I want to try to structure this, because grief and emotional things are jumbled and disorganized. I'll just share a little bit about my story to start off. As it relates to the topic at hand, my grief journey started when I was very young, when I was 11 years old, when my dad passed away from lung cancer. He had lung cancer for about a year, and he started out at stage 4. When you're 11, you really don't even have abstract thinking yet. You don't know like anything. You're just going to school and getting through life, and you just want to play and you just want to hang out with your friends. And it was a devastating thing for me. I didn't realize how devastating it was when it happened. That is one of the more insidious parts of grief and loss for a child, because a child can't really process someone's death when they're under a certain age. They can't really comprehend it. So I know for a lot of my friends who have lost parents, I don't have a lot of friends who have lost parents, but my friends who have lost parents or have lost an immediate family member when they were a child, I talk to them and they echo the same thing back of, I just started processing now that I'm in my 20s, because I feel like my brain literally just caught up to what happened. And now I'm like, oh. All that to say, my family was forever fractured by that loss. And following that, it was just a snowball of just pain and suffering on all sides. And my mother, the beautiful woman she is, did the best she could without her husband. I really, really, really commend her for that. It was basically just a game of survival from that point on through middle school and high school, college, and now here, where I am here. I have basically been in survival mode like the entire time, because when the father is removed from the home, it's just devastating. From there, it really manifested for me in physical ways, probably because I wasn't processing it, didn't know how to process it. No one around me knew how to help me process it as a child. And it really started to manifest in physical symptoms when I was about 14. It started with stomach issues, increased food sensitivities and allergies, mood issues, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, I went to Seattle Children's Hospital. I went to the best, specialists in the state, and only really got a handle on things when I was about 21. And I started getting into more of the holistic. Somebody introduced me to the holistic community, and that is really when I began to just get a bit of a better grip. When I became acquainted with the holistic community, the emotional health side of things was not nearly as emphasized, and the nervous system, the trauma aspect was not nearly as emphasized as it is now, which is what I am doing now. And I'm not going to talk too much about that, but fast forward to 2023, May of 2023, last year, my mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. They thought at the beginning that it was stage 2. They got her in for a major surgery. It was about 10 and a half hours to remove a cancerous mass and then her duodenum at the same time, and some lymph nodes. And when they got in there, it ended up being stage 3. It progressed extremely quickly over the course of 5 months. By the time it was for July, it was stage 4, and she just declined very quickly. And our whole family, extended family and immediate, gathered around her. And, she entered hospice care in August, late August, and she passed in mid-September, September 18th. So that is basically has been my whole last year, has been taking care of her and then taking care of her estate. And it has been an honor, as weird as that sounds. And I'm gonna, this is a delicate thing to talk about in respect to my family and anyone who has gone through stuff like this. I'm not going to refrain from talking about it in a positive way. If there's positive aspects for me and my personal experience, I'm going to talk about it, because I can't not. Like, by the grace of God, there have been positive aspects, but it's two sides to the same coin. It was an honor to take care of her and to take care of her affairs afterwards. And I am kind of still doing that, but the bulk of it is over. I was her personal representative while she was sick. So we're, as quickly as we can, we're trying to get her financial affairs in order and her will and all of that, because we didn't know how aggressive the disease was. And praise the Lord, we did get everything mostly kind of in order. And then when she passed away, I was appointed as her personal representative, and there is a lot of duties that come with that. Balancing. Is it even a balance? It's just enduring the tasks while you're enduring the pain that is so fresh is like an Olympic sport, honestly. And I don't say that to pat myself on the back of look at all this hard work you did. It was hard work. It gives me a major, major respect for people I now am thinking about in my life, who are mostly people who are older, who have to do this. It's usually not a 26-year-old. It's usually the people who helped me were all, 50 and above. So I just have a lot of respect for them, and how hard it is to take care of things after someone dies, because it's like the worst job ever, but also it's extremely gratifying. And there's so many treasures in it, especially if you're going through their stuff or whatever. You get to remember them it's so painful, but it's so you feel close to them too. It's weird. A lot of it feels like pulling teeth, especially initially, of people are billing you, you're writing checks, and someone just died, and you're like, stop, that is so rude. But it's not. But it feels like it, because you just want there to be this reverence and respect. And the money part of things feels extremely cold and sterile and disrespectful, but it has to be done. Luckily, I had so many people who treated the situation with great respect, and who really put my and my family's emotions before the logistical and financial things, and made sure I was okay. And then we move forward with, okay, what do we have to get done? So it has been a ride. It has been an experience that I will never forget, and I will never be the same after this experience. It has changed me in fundamental ways. The reason I am doing this, I needed to be underground and kind of isolated in certain ways when I was going through this process myself initially, like the first 6 months or whatever. Like, I could not be around lots of people all the time. It just was not going to happen. The internet provided me with great resources. I mostly was resourced from people in person. Luckily, I had just great people in my community. Utilize the people in your community who have done this, friends of your parents, friends of your grandparents, because older people have so much knowledge. They have so much knowledge and wisdom and experience. I personally linked up with my mother's neighbor. I love her so much. If you're watching this, you know who you are, and you have been there in ways for my family like no one else has. And she is in her 50s and has, I think she said she has cleaned out like 4 dead people's houses. So, yeah, link up with someone like that, because there's so many decisions to be made. Putting this all out here, I was telling my friend recently, grief can be extremely, I've never called my grief scary before, but when I'm not actively processing it, it does feel scary. It feels like it's kind of just like brewing in the background. And putting it out in front of me has actually made it so much less scary, especially when people in this community, which if you're grieving anything, you're part of the grievers community, when they chime in and they're like, me too. And you're like, so putting it out in front of me, being like, this is what's happening. I'm going to make it into something that can benefit other people. It just makes it less scary. There's a lot more to be said for everything I've said, which is why I'm doing long form. But if you want to go check out my Instagram, it's double_dear_mom. I'm on TikTok, kind of. If you like this stuff, please reach out. This is meant to be a community for anyone and everyone who has loved and lost, truly. And I hope you'll just find this stuff interesting and helpful. If you are hibernating, isolating during a loss, which is completely fine, YouTube is a great resource where you don't have to directly talk to anyone. More of this to come. Until next time.